The transcripts have been released. And oh, lordy, is Cash Money G being sold down the river. This is what is so beautiful about karma. It's what's so beautiful when you got real elected officials who actually represent their constituents, like our main man from Ohio, Representative Jim Jordan. Holy macadamia nut. Nathan American Pie Wade spills the beans. Check this out. So the full transcript is over 130 pages long. I will leave a link in the description and show notes below if you want to check out the whole thing. But I have basically distilled it to the most important, the most revelatory, and to me, the most damning aspects. As you see on the screen right now, Nathan Wade didn't divulge a lot, but when he did, and when he was pressed, he said, I don't recall. To quote the Pitbull Sadow, who posted on Twitter, I'm going to show you that right now. I'm completely shocked. You mean Nathan Wade couldn't recall? Mr. Nathan Wade, who took more than a minute to recall when Ashley Merchant asked him, did you ever share a cabin with Fani Willis? Okay, let's jump right into it. Remember, Fani Willis sent a really harsh, brutal letter to Jim Jordan saying that these proceedings could compel Wade to divulge highly sensitive knowledge that, quote, still belongs to her office. Well, it appears to me that Nathan Wade might have sold you down the river, Fani. Before she even took office, apparently, according to Wade, Willis was preparing to prosecute Trump. Wade testified that sometime between November 2020, that's between the November 2020 election and the DA's inauguration day, Willis had, quote, absolutely contacted him about serving on a search committee that would select a special prosecutor to investigate and prosecute Trump. She's been trying to nail Trump for almost 4 years. Here you see, question from the committee. I want to now pivot to talking about your appointment as special prosecutor for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. So who contacted you first about the special prosecutor position? Wade says, so this is an interesting story or series of events. I'm sure it is. How this came about. I was part of a search committee, if you will, for the then newly elected district attorney. And can you provide dates for when you were part of the search committee? Wade, oh God, I cannot. I'm sorry. In his probably usual dramatic fashion, I just picture the same Wade in that Fani Willis disqualification hearing. Oh, just utter abysmal dreck. Question, if it's helpful, District Attorney Willis came into office on January 1st of 2021. Is that a helpful time frame? Wade says it is. So January 1st, I was part of the search committee for that newly elected district attorney, and we were tasked with trying to identify someone who would serve as lead counsel on the election interference investigation. Eventually, I guess the committee turned their guns on me and started trying to convince me to accept the role. So this is almost like an admission of reluctance. What? Like an admission that perhaps Wade, and we've talked about this in many, many videos prior, who has had zero experience in being a prosecutor. He's mostly been in defense and criminal defense, etc. Has had zero experience working in the prosecutorial role. But it's interesting how he says, eventually, I guess the committee turned their guns on me and started trying to convince me to accept the role. That's some sort of self-admission of guilt or self-admission of lack of skills or even worse. Question. And so the search committee, you said that began when DA Willis took office, January 1st, 2021. Is that correct? Wade, yes. And was there outreach to you to be part of the search committee prior to January 1st, 2021? Wade, absolutely. Question. And when did that start? Wade, sometime after the election, but prior to taking her office. Wade's legal counsel repeatedly interjected, saying the Trump prosecution was, quote, ongoing when the House Judiciary Committee asked questions pertaining to the investigation or decision-making discussions involving Willis. As no, former Georgia Governor Roy Barnes was also representing Willis, also is representing Wade. I don't know how that's not a conflict of interest. But in Fani's world, I mean, God knows, is there any kind of decorum whatsoever? This is an interesting point right here. Wade also admitted he had to my prior point, he admitted that he had no relevant experience for the special prosecuting position. The lack of prosecutorial experience was so egregious that he had to attend, quote, required training. Can you believe this? Prosecuting a former president. This guy had zero experience, and he was required to take training, including classes in RICO law, which is a, quote, very complicated legal concept, he said. Remember, Trump was ultimately indicted on Georgia RICO charges. Wade testified that no one oversaw his work once he was hired to head the Trump prosecution team. He affirmed that he had, quote, ultimate authority, quote, end quote, in the case. Wade suggested that his leadership role required more hours and greater understanding of the case than that of Floyd and other special prosecutors assigned to the Trump case. Now, here's the White House collusion portion. Wade confirmed that he had conducted multiple meetings with Biden-Harris White House officials, but refused to disclose any pertinent details, claiming he just couldn't recall. I have no idea. As you can see on the screen right now, there's from the actual transcript. It's unbelievable. Wade acknowledged billing the county for an 8-hour conference. He was with them for 8 hours with White House counsel at $250 an hour, equaling $2,000 total on May 23rd, 2022. Although according to the invoice's entry, Wade supposedly spent an entire business day conferencing with the Biden-Harris White House, Wade claimed he could not recall. I just can't recall which individuals were involved in the meeting, where exactly it occurred, whether he traveled to Athens or DC, or if the meeting took place in person or over the phone. You lion-ass Democrat degenerate. Wade, I mean, what a bold-faced, unabashed, heartless, integrityless, soulless liar. You were there for 8 hours and you can't recall anything? Do you have dementia like Biden? He'd also confirmed that he billed the DA's office another 8 hours on November 18th, 2022 for a, quote, interview with the DC White House. Again, he maintained that he could not remember meeting specifics, including who was in attendance or its subject matter. How convenient, Mr. Wade. Additionally, Wade confirmed that he billed the county 24 hours, this time totaling $6,000. Boy, he has no problem with those invoices, does he? Everything else I don't recall. I have no idea. Was I in a cabin with her? I don't know. When did the relationship end? I don't know. Did you go on vacation with her? I don't know. But boy, those invoices, they come like hotcakes, don't they? Between September 7th, 2022 and September 9th, 2022 for, quote, witness interviews, conference call DC team meeting. Wade again denied remembering who was on the conference call or which witnesses were interviewed. During the deposition, Wade said the phrases, quote, I can't recall, quote, I don't recall, or quote, I don't know, nearly 60 times. Here's another huge whale of a breaking news story. Wade also confirmed that he met with individuals associated with the January 6th committee several times in 2022, but again, he refused to reveal the relevant details about these meetings. And so far, Wade has just proven time and time again, not only is he not qualified, not only does he not have the acumen, the legal perceptiveness or professionalism, he's not a very smart dude. He's really actually the exact opposite. He denied communicating directly with members or staff of the J6 committee, saying he instead communicated with individuals connected to the committee, whatever the hell that means. When grilled on particulars, Wade said he spoke with, quote, lawyers, but didn't say whom these attorneys represented, nor did he name the legal counsel. Question, did you have meetings with anyone associated with the January 6th committee? Wade, I believe that I did. What the hell does that mean? And when you say individuals associated with the January 6th committee, how are they associated with the January 6th committee to your knowledge? Wade, that means that they were not staff or members. Question. So were they working on the January 6th investigation? Wade, yes. Question. In what capacity? Wade, lawyers. Question. Lawyers? So who were they lawyers for? Wade, I'm not sure. You know, I trust Wade about as much as I trust a Kamala Harris interview on MSNBC. Question. In what context were you speaking to lawyers that were involved in the January 6th committee? Wade, in the context of an investigation, whatever the hell that means. Question. So the lawyers were involved in the January 6th committee's investigation? Wade, yes. Question. Did they represent lawyers for the committee? Wade, interjecting. I'm not saying that. I don't know who they were lawyers for. I don't know. It sounds so awful. What a dum-dum. Question. I just want to make sure that the record is clear. You don't know who the lawyers were that you met with that were associated with the January 6th committee, who they represented. Is that correct? Wade, that's correct. What on God's earth is all of this mean? Wade confirmed that he billed the DA's office 24 hours, another $6,000 receipt between April 18th and April 21st of 2022 for a, quote, team meeting conference with January 6th, to research legal issues to prep interview. Wade denied expanding on what conference with January 6th meant, as well as whether he met with anyone associated with the J6 committee on those dates, and if these conferences occurred physically or via phone. Wade confirmed that he charged the county 8 hours on November 16th for a January 6th meeting and attorney conference. However, of course, he could not recall whom he met, the contents of the conference, and whether it was an in-person meeting or phone call. Wade testified that the information would be found in the case files he had left with the DA's office upon his resignation. More like he got booted by Fani. Now, regarding the subpoena, they asked about this. Wade insisted that he was unaware of the U.S. Marshals attempting to serve him the Congressional Committee subpoena at his home and office on September 23rd, 24. Remember, there was this big hoopla. Where did he go? He's missing. He's on the lam. He's running. Why can't anybody find Nathan Wade? There was this, I did an entire video where he was missing on a milk carton kind of as a joke. Wade offered a variety of explanations as to why he did not immediately accept service of the summons. He first claimed that he had hurt his ankle playing basketball. I mean, it's like a 3-year-old and was on prescription pain medication at the time. So he, quote, took a few days to take care of his ankle. It just gets worse and worse. Once he was, quote, able to deal with the pain without medication, he then turned on his cell phone and was about to go down to his exercise room. At that point, he saw the message from the U.S. Marshals at 4 a.m. and called to arrange service. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Question. And so based upon your failure to appear on September 18th, the transcribed interview, the committee then moved to compulsory process via a subpoena. When did you first learn the committee was issuing you a subpoena for your testimony? Wade, I had played in a community basketball league. I had a hairline fracture of my ankle. I was obviously prescription medicating because of the pain and the swelling in my right ankle. Obviously, of course. Wade, who is a practicing private attorney, testified that he typically turns off his phone in the lead-up trial, saying that, quote, when I get into trial mode and when I'm preparing for trial, I shut the world off. My job is to handle my client's business, and I don't want any outside interference. So I had no contact with anyone during the course of that preparation. Oh, you laser-focused ninja attorney, you damn right. How are those classes coming along on RICO law? How's that lack of experience coming along when you accepted $1 million of taxpayer-funded money for your special prosecutorial assignment by your girlfriend and your lover, Fani Cash Money G? Question. So what date did you turn your phone off? Wade, I turned it off the exact date. I can't recall. I'd give it to you if I could. I can't recall the exact date, of course. Question. So if we requested your phone records for September 20th to September 26th, will we find that your phone was off? You had no communications via your cell phone? Wade, I don't know what date it was when I shut it off, but during the course of that period, you will find no communications because the phone was off. I'm so sure. Why won't you guys give up the cell phone hawk data too in the Fani Willis Cash Money G disqualification hearing? Question. And so what happened first? The phone being turned off or you hurting your ankle? Wade, the ankle injury occurred first. Question. Okay. And so between that time, you said that you turned your phone on, then at 4 a.m. on September 26th, and that's when you received the messages from the marshals. Is that correct, or do I have the timeline mixed up? Wade, I don't recall. I do recall the marshal saying to me, this subpoena that I'm about to serve to you is for today's date. So whatever that date was, that's the date I turned my phone on and returned that phone call. Fani is in huge, deep water with this one. I mean, the collusion, the conspiracy, everything that we pretty much intuitively knew about this case since day one, everything that Ashley Merchant brought forth in the Georgia Senate committee hearing has all come out. Amanda Timpson, who we had on our show, as well as Ashley Merchant, talking about the toxicity, complete miscarriage of federal funding that she discovered and she tried to warn Fani Willis on. And what did she do? She fired her literally 48 hours after. It just all adds up to a big, gigantic bad boogie sandwich for you, Fani Willis. Holy macadamia nut. If this doesn't expose everything, I don't know what does. You've got January 6th, you've got prosecuting Trump unlawfully, unfair, unjustifiably, way before you were actually supposed to. You've got White House meetings on the books prior to the indictment, and God knows what else. Never mind all of the forfeiture funds that were miscarriaged. Never mind the perjury under oath. Never mind lying to your constituents. Never mind pursuing this YSL RICO case, which is costing Fulton County residents God knows how much money. The longest case in Georgia history. It's gone through 3 judges, and they still have another 100 or so witnesses to call to the stand. And you've got prosecutorial team that is just as bad, if not 10 times worse than Fani Willis and Adrian Love, who is the least qualified DA or deputy chief DA for that matter in the history of any DA's office. It's just not looking good for our girl Cash Money G. And I'm loving every second of it, because when you love your country, when you love law and order, when you want to see the right people who are actually abiding, who are actually honest, who actually maintain integrity, you want to see them win. These are the kind of stories that I love sharing with you. You're not going to hear any of this stuff in the mainstream. So please tap that thumbs up, because it helps us get this video out to more people. I can't wait to read your comments in the comments down below. I will be doing a lot of follow-ups on this story. It's going to get bigger. This is just the beginning. We still have the oral arguments to be seen in front of the appellate judges in the Fani disqualification appeal, which is going to be happening in December. We got so much more to follow up on this story. The only true justice will be when Fani Willis gets completely fired. She gets completely blown out. So we have so much more to come. So make sure you subscribe, follow. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here. Tap my face if you haven't subscribed and followed. It's free. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless America. I'll see you soon.